All right, welcome back. It is the DMV Weave Doctor, located in Bowie, Maryland, honey. And child, today the Weave Doctor is going to be a little bit brief, just because the Weave Doctor got things to do and people to see today. But honey, today at first, the Weave Doctor. Hello, we got to talk about some of the different things that's been going on since the last time the Weave Doctor has tuned in. Number one, that I watched some of that halftime with Rihanna, and child, she was looking amazing. Hello, and I know there's been a lot. Now today we are going to get into some of the different things, especially going on with hair loss. We saw recently that Olaplex is now being caused taking out a lot of different African American and a lot of different women of textured hair. Okay, now I would like to say a lot of people are not necessarily purchasing their Olaplex from a reputable provider. And I learned this information from Mr. Dudley. Okay, he is one of the DMV and Black legends in this area and just throughout the United States, and I believe in the world. One of the top groups out here that started an all Black owned company. Okay, and he told me about, I don't know if it's diversion, but it's something that is going on with a lot of people don't understand, even for people who have access to purchasing things over in China and overseas. They have a lot of different companies that replicate some of the real products that are out there. Okay, and we're going to be talking about some of that replication and how it even goes down with the virgin hair or the quote unquote Remy hair. Hello, that you believe that you are purchasing. But a lot of times, just because, with how things are set up now, all you have to do is put a name, put a very popular name or a label on your product, and it will be viewed as if it were the original product. So, and this side is a lot of different scamming going out right now. But, I've used Olaplex on certain clients. Now, some people, I don't know if they were using this product in excess, because there are a lot of people now, once upon a time, before pre-social media days and Facebook, before companies were not just flat out greedy. They, once upon a time, they did not allow people to purchase some of these different type of, products that were supposed to be specifically for cosmetologists. So, there are a lot of people coming out and saying that their hair has fallen out. However, we don't know some of the studies behind this. We don't know if this is because, they possibly bought it from Amazon. They went to a poor vendor. So, however, a lot of these products, the Weave Doctor is not going to allow a lot of these products, especially chemically based products. They are not the best long term. Just like people are now finding out with relaxers, there are so many cases linked up with fibroids. Now, I'm not sure how it's happening. A lot of cases with cancer. I'm not sure if it's just the heavy metal toxicity. The Weave Doctor may have to do a little report on that since I'm a mineral balancing practitioner. So, I study, a lot of different heavy metals and products and things like that and how it affects the body. So I'm going to possibly be looking into that and possibly looking at some of the ingredients in Olaplex to find out what really is going on. Now, I do know with Olaplex, it pretty much was acting as if a strengthening agent. So I don't know. Sometimes people do not realize if you misuse protein treatments, then your hair can break. Okay. So I'm not sure if these individuals are not measuring it properly. I know when I used to use Olaplex, I would measure it properly, and you have to mix it a certain way. There are different guidelines. And if you're not a licensed cosmetologist, if you are someone that you're being a kitchen beautician, if you're being a kitchen beautician, the Weave Doctor is not advocating for no kitchen beauticians using chemicals. So if you're doing some of these things, and if you're not purchasing from a reputable vendor, then you can have some problems. Now, I know that's the only thing that we've had a lot of issues with nowadays, since a lot of people are not licensed cosmetologists. They are not purchasing their products. I know even on some of our lives, Weave Doctor jokes, and some people may get offended. Sometimes we're talking about people who are even some hairstylists that use different hair care practices that are very, very damaging. We did a video actually last week. I know some people were upset. Okay, you can't make everybody happy. But there was an individual that was using this glue, that black, famous, infamous black glue that so many people use it, so many African American women, and that's why I talk about it on my channel. You do not know how many women who did African American women who come to me who have alopecia. I am the alopecia hair warrior. I wave my hair loss warrior banner. Okay, we are trying to stop and prevent hair loss on this channel. So there are so many people out there who come to the weave doctor who have been wearing these glue wigs. And what's popular terminology? 27-piece hair pieces and wigs. And this is one of the hair pieces, and a lot of people get these, and it's sad sometimes some of these types of hair creations are formulated for African Americans that may be on a budget, okay, and that may not be able to afford some of the hair that we're going to be talking about today. But I don't care what. It would be better for you to purchase you a synthetical, that's what the weave doctor calls synthetic. It would be better for you to purchase a synthetic wig, okay, that may not even look as glamorous, than to let a stylist use that 27-piece method. I'm not saying that it can be 100% always a fail, but if that stylist, you're taking a risk. When you're doing like a 60 to 70% risk. There are some people in different areas, especially I've seen down south, and I used to do the technique myself until I became a trichologist, and I pretty much refuse to do the technique anymore. I no longer do glue in pieces, okay? Because the glue, number one, is made out of latex. That is already a toxic chemical. And especially there are a lot of people nowadays who have latex allergies, okay? A lot of people who have latex allergies, and the weave doctor knows about it. That's why I use nitrite gloves at my establishment. I try to avoid using latex, even though sometimes it can be hard not to, to fully get away from it. But I definitely am against that gluing method. I'm against using the 27-piece method. That's why I talk about it. That's why I make memes and joke about it. Because if it is done improperly, if you do not remove that stuff improperly, if you do not remove that hair wig properly, and you try to remove it on your own, if the individual does not put a scalp protectant, a lot of stylists, sometimes they're rushing and they're being cheap, the ones who are not focusing on hair growth. If you try to remove that, some people are yanking it out. They are giving individuals scarring alopecia, okay? And so that's what the weave doctor is really, really, really against. That's why I do not even offer the service. And I don't encourage any clients to get that at all. That's how damaging that hairstyle can be if it goes wrong. Now, if it goes right, then that person, they may have a good hairstyle. Only thing about that hairstyle, I find a lot of people, they do not, even when they get it, and if it's not ripping out the hair necessarily from the glue, then they are not keeping healthy hygiene. The weave doctor, that's another one of her big pet peeves concerning hair wigs and weaves that are not properly kept and shampooed. And the other day, the weave doctor, I'm probably going to do a meme on that, or do a what is it called? Do a comparison video. They had an individual. Now she is telling people, and that's where you got to be careful. Some of these people are not licensed cosmetologists. Some of them are. Some of them are going against the grain. They had a lady on here. Hello. They got a lady on here, honey. She is telling people to keep their weave in their hair for 6 months. Okay. That's another thing. When you get some of these wigs and weave pieces, some of these people forget that this is their actual hair. But the weave doctor is telling you today, it is not your hair. It is not your hair. Okay. Do not be deceived how well your hair is looking. Do not be deceived by you getting new hair growth. Especially one of the things, now sometimes you have natural hair, you might be able to go a little bit longer, but a lot of times some of the people, they have, they're growing out a relaxer. And if you're talking about something that is devastating, I've seen it done. It's happened to me several times. Or I'm working in other salons where a shampoo assistant did not thoroughly detangle somebody's hair who left a wig or weave or braids in their hair for a long time and did not detangle it properly. And then the hair matted up into a ball rat's nest. And these are the different things that happen, behind the scenes of being a hairstylist. And so that's why I try to encourage people, do not leave in your hair pieces, no matter if it's wigs, extensions. After about 2 to 3 months, you need to start taking it down. Hello. So I saw this individual, and I don't know if this lady that has this thing out there, And and maybe she could be possibly growing people hair. But if they do not follow her exact regime that she has, that's telling people to buy her products or whatever, then they are going to deal with some serious, terrible hair loss. I don't even really deal with it. If you keep your hair wig in past 3 or 4 months, I am the type to generally, I probably won't even service you, to be honest, because there is a lot of people don't realize when you're not shampooing your hair can build up actual mites. They have there's studies out there that's showing when you're not shampooing your hair properly, mites are building up. Also, if you have hair loss already, DHT is building up within the scalp. Okay, you're not able to clean the hair. You have all these toxins, and sebum. Excess sebum is another cause of hair loss. If you do not shampoo your scalp regularly, you are going to be dealing with some sebum excess. Okay, and you could be worsening your already alopecia or thinning hair. So those are just some of the things. And another thing that we wanted to hit note, everybody calling the weed doctor. The weed doctor is busy. Stop calling the weed doctor. Okay. Another thing we want to talk about was lace balding and shedding. We've had a couple of clients. But the weed doctor just tried to explain people. During before the pandemic, there were a lot of clients. That's why a lot of people that were cosmetologists, some of them had to downsize if they did not find ways to do more marketing in their business. But there were people who were coming to salons, like back in the day, but they were doing once a month or 2 times a month. They were coming to get their hair done. Since the pandemic, some people have stopped coming to the hair salon like they used to. And they start, especially the wig wearers and those who wear weave, okay? And that's another thing. If you do not shampoo your wigs and weave extensions properly in in a healthy manner, and if you have lace and if you have ventilated scalp, your wig and hair pieces are going to be destroyed sooner. We have seen so many people that we've never seen before who now are recognizing that they're getting balding spots, circles in their wigs, on the sides of their wigs. This is another pandemic going on. Okay, another epidemic for the wig and hair loss and weave realm. There are a lot of people that are not shampooing their hair. If you have wigs, this hair is not like African American hair. These hair, most of the hair is sourced in Asia and different areas in the Southeast Asian area. These hairs require washing and shampooing, especially if you have lace. Lace has these lace knots. They are created. They're ventilated in with like a small micro needles. Then they are double stranded and double tied and looped to create a knot to secure the actual hair. These hairs, honey, these hairs was not intended for oil build up. Okay, these hairs was not intended for heavy uses of hairspray. If you have any of these hair pieces, you need to be shampooing your hair wig regularly as if it was your own hair. Sometimes I know some people, they do not do that because they're trying to save more money, economic, being a little bit more economic. But in the long haul, you're going to be ruining your hair pieces. So with all that being said, we've seen clients who were coming every 2 to 3 weeks having no problems, able to keep their unit for about 3 to 4 weeks. Now we have clients occasionally who, and sometimes some people, they're letting the product build up, get on there, and then also they are doing excessive brushing with the wrong tools, and they are starting to see some, balding of the wigs, and this can happen. Also, because a lot of people are trying to avoid getting shampoos, they are now scratching their head like this, okay? They being like Beyonce. But Beyonce told you what to do. I don't know why no one wants to listen to Beyonce. Beyonce told everyone to pat their weave, honey, pat the weave. Beyonce was trying to give you some one-on-one education, okay? Beyonce was trying to tell you that you should not be scratching your scalp under no circumstances. So do not scratch your scalp if you have a lace unit. If so, you're going to develop large balding circles, okay? It's going to look like your hair unit is suffering from alopecia, okay? And we do not want that to happen. So today, I'm going to be wrapping it up. I'm going to try to wrap this up in the next 30 minutes or so. We're going to be talking about the different types of virgin hair that are out there, or so-called virgin hair, the weave doctor has been getting more and more educated. I just like to go to a lot of classes, go to a lot of different seminars, and I have been learning so much. I've already knew about a lot about selling hair. I've been selling hair probably for over the last 18 years. Hello. So I know all about sourcing hair. There are some clients that come to me and tell me, I bought this $1,500 wig from somewhere else, and my wife's hair was damaged within 2 or 3 months. That's because they bought bad hair and they have a bad vendor. Okay, child, they're not as experienced as the weave doctor. But that's neither here or there. But that is one of the problems when you're trying to purchase hair online. You need to find a trusted vendor. There are a lot of people out here. They are purchasing products from subpar vendors. Okay, from subpar vendors. And a lot of times the hair systems and the different version hair and wigs, it's not a regulated type of entity where you can find out just by the label what are the true raw materials of your hair. Okay, so the wig doctor, we're going to educate you, give you some little fun facts today. Okay, so first of all, we're going to address some of the cheapest hair that's out there. Okay, one of the ones is synthetic, but we're going to talk about human hair that is advertised as virgin hair. So virgin hair, this term is used very loosely, okay? But in actuality, this virgin hair is not what you think. When you hear a virgin, you think about the song Prince, Touch for the Very First Time, okay? Can I get an amen? Okay. So, you're thinking about, they're supposed to be pure. In fact, the wig doctor hate to break it to you today. Many of the wigs that are popular out there, a lot of you guys are purchasing. There are so many different China-based companies that are doing drop shipping nowadays, and a lot of different, so even some African-American companies that are linking up with some China-based in North Korea, different companies. And this hair, they're calling this virgin hair. It is so cheap. That is why they have these wigs out nowadays that you can purchase for $200 to $300 or even $400, and that is because it's pretty much like you're getting the worst in the hair. Out of all of the, I guess in the whole hair world, you're getting the worst of the worst. This hair, and this is the terminology another terminology which I knew about and I found out more about it. Floor hair. They're getting this hair a lot of times. This is the worst hair that you can buy. This hair can be sourced from salon hair that's found on the floor. They call it a floor hair. This hair, they're getting this hair from different salons and stuff overseas. They then are mixing it. And a lot of times when you're purchasing this hair, it also is mixed with synthetic fibers. A lot of times it does not really have the same, that's why I can tell when something is heavily processed. When you're buying some of these virgin hair, it almost has like a plastic. That's why the wig doctor always says synthetical. I'm being funny, but it actually has a very synthetic and plastic-like demeanor. Okay, it's not operating like a real head of hair. And so, back to this, the virgin hair that's being sold out here, especially the very affordable hair, the hair that people are buying on some of the Amazon websites, and that's another web that calls the Amazonian websites to buy these hairs. These hairs they're using floor hair. This hair, I said, you can get this from the hospital. They get it off of dead people. Okay, so and the wig doctor hates to scare you, but we just want to let people, educate them on what they're buying and what this means when you're purchasing hair online. I don't care how much they shine it up, how much pretty labels they put on this hair. If it is classified as virgin hair, this hair is floor hair. It is very much processed. Also, this hair, in most cases, it is heavily doused. So that's another thing. We have a lot of people who are suffering from endocrine disorders, a lot of different things that are affecting the thyroid and adrenal, a lot of different problems out here. Child, weave doctor's even dealt with some of that herself. I've been dealing with symptoms of chronic fatigue syndrome. A lot of people who have dealing with a lot of high stress jobs, dealing with these type of problems. That's why when I saw Rihanna out there dancing, Rihanna was out there at the Super Bowl doing her thing, and I give it to Rihanna. And I understand that she is a high power working woman, but we have to make sure that we care about our health too at the same time. I do like that Brianna was pressing through, but as I'm thinking about it now, I was going to take it another direction with Brianna. But as being someone who runs businesses and stuff, it can take a toll on your body. Okay, even I guess parenting, any other type of responsibilities that you have. And then on top of that, a lot of people are then having a diet and putting a lot of chemicals on their skin. So this virgin hair that's advertised as the regular virgin hair, and the weed doctor got an example today. Okay, this is the example, and a lot of this hair is a ponytail. Some of this hair, it doesn't look necessarily bad, you know. Excuse me, I had some indigestion, but this hair typically does not necessarily look bad. But the thing about it is that it's not necessarily good for you. A lot of it has a lot of acid. It is doused in acid. So it's like one of the most toxic hairs that are out there. The more that you shampoo this hair, a lot of this hair is easy to get matting and tangling. Now, that's another way that you can find out if you got some very cheap hair, or sometimes they could be fooling you. That's another thing, that sometimes they do a lot of extensive processing on this hair, and then they put various different silicone coatings on top of the hair. Okay, so this is just some of the different hair, and this hair comes from many, many, many donors for the virgin hair. A lot of times you do not know where your hair is coming from. It could be coming from someone who was in a hospital that has passed. It's generally, in most cases, found on the floor of many different salons and different places that are overseas. Also, this hair, it doesn't really, it sheds a lot. It can tangle within the long haul. You know, that's why we have a lifespan on our virgin hair. Now, we do sell very affordable hair. We don't make them generally out of our custom wigs and medical cranial prosthesis that are paid for through your insurance. But with these type of hair, we generally say it has about a 4-month turnaround for the lower quality. And some people, I've seen some of you guys that come here with that synthetical hair. Honey, that synthetical hair start tangling up less than 2 months, okay, and napping up, okay? And that just shows you the quality that you have purchased. So that's one of the things with the virgin hair. For all those who just tuning in, we're talking about some of the secrets behind some of the different tricks that's been used in the hair companies. Now, this vendor, I actually like this vendor, but it just depends on what you want to do. If you already are someone who's suffering from autoimmune, have adrenal or thyroid problems, or any type of toxicity issues, you might want to stay away from virgin hair alone, because it is one of the most heavily processed. And even the people who create the hair, a lot of the Asians call it that they use dirty secrets, okay, for this type of hair. Hello. So if you don't want no dirty secrets, being used on your hair, you better not buy it no more, okay? Now, the next hair that we're going to talk about, child, this is what the weave doctor got on today. Now, this is a step up, probably at least 2 steps up. Some people are advertising this hair as raw. I think that's where the Peruvian hair came from. So, but I consider this more medium raw. There are different companies. Each company names their hair differently. But pretty much this hair, it is blended in, it's blended from different donors. It's not as chemically altered as the virgin hair that we were speaking about. Doesn't use the same amount of chemicals. It's lightly, the cuticles are lightly, doused with the acid. It's not like it's completely submerged, for the virgin hair that's sold everywhere, pretty much all the hair that's out there in the market. And another thing about this virgin hair we were talking about, these hair is extremely cheap. So these hairs that are a little bit more expensive, these bundles probably are going to run you probably at least $125 and up for these bundles. And this hair we were talking about, these hairs could, I've heard some people buying $40 and $50 bundles. That is definitely virgin floor hair process. At least with this hair, these hairs that are considered, I call it the mid-grade hair at our hair establishment where we're at, is using human hair, and the hair is minimally processed. It has some processing, but it's not as bad as the virgin hair. And it's mixed. Some of the qualities are mixed, but it's not to the same degree as the floor hair. So this hair is a little bit better. So the main goal with virgin hair is that they're trying to align the cuticles of the hair. That's why they have all these different terms called Remy hair, cuticle hair. So these are aligned through the machine. They use a hacking system to align these hairs on the weft. So these hairs are not as see when you use so many different donors and you get the hair from just all these different places. The only resort to get the cuticles and get the hair to align properly is to use heavily amounts of acid. So this is why they use that for this virgin hair. So anyways, this hair is supposed to last longer, and it does. I have clients that use the hair for a year and a little bit longer. So these hairs, it just really lasts a lot longer. You get a better curl. Generally, you can dye the hair better. That's another thing with the lower quality hair. They call it salon or floor hair. It only goes generally to a certain level. It's not going to go very bright. We tell people, if you want to get all the blondes and things like that, then you may want to invest into the mid-grade, more raw or processed raw hair that is out there. So, and again, this hair can be curled better. It can generally go up to 27, even sometimes 613, depending on the vendor. So these are just some of the different type of, some of the different type of forms of virgin hair. I'm going to look back at my notes, make sure that I'm staying on the topic. Okay, so we already talked about some of the processed, quote unquote, raw hair. Now the weave doctor is going to show you. Now this one is pretty much what I would call. This is some of the top grade hair that we offer. We also offer the cuticle hair. And another thing sometimes about raw hair, it looks like a real human hair. Some of these hairs that they have that are all glossed and looking pretty and ultra sultry and stuff, the curl patterns are exact, where the ringlets are like all looking identical. That is a more processed look. So that some processing was done to achieve that. And so the more processing that you do, the less likely that you're going to get the longer wear out of your wigs. Now this right here, even though she's just coming out of she's just coming back from overseas from one of our hair vendors. This is raw hair. Now it looks kind of crazy right now, but that's because it was in a, in a bag. So we're just getting it back. But these type of hairs, now some of them still mimically, by them doing the ventilation, they still mimically do a little bit of processing on it. But these hairs, generally, they are not coming from a whole bunch of different donors. And we even carry single donor hair, which means that it comes from the cuticles are still aligned and it comes only from one person. Now, that's the Beyonce hair, okay? That's the hair. That's why, and people laugh, but Beyonce was paying. They don't believe it. Beyonce paid someone, I believe, $100,000 a year to grow her hair because she is getting all of her hair being ventilated and used for her units. That is top of the line. And that's why I know they have different, for all those who don't know, they have Russian hair wigs like European women like that. And the Shito wigs, those hairs are highly expensive. Sometimes just one bundle. Now, we were talking about this little virgin hair that's only cost like $40. But some of these raw hair, depending on, especially the Russian hair, that is a very rare hair. And it's coming pretty much from that individual being chopped off and being wefted immediately. Those can run at least about $1,200 or more per bundle. Okay. Now, as you buy the more raw hair, it can last supposedly 2 to 5 years. So this is the perk when you purchase a raw hair unit. Now, and it does look raw. This looks like somebody's hair. Hello. As you can see, it looked like somebody's hair that is not combed and tamed almost. A lot of people don't realize some of the hair in its raw state is not necessarily as pretty. Especially, now for it to look more beautiful, because by it being the raw Temple Indian hair, this hair would need to be shampooed, washed, conditioned, and possibly even add on some different type of hair elixirs to it to make it look, pretty much what you see different people wear when they put it on their head. But just coming out the gate, a lot of times the raw hair, it may have a very frizzy or woolly look because the cuticles have not been stripped. They have not put all those different type of chemicals on it. And this hair, I love this company that we purchased our full lace wigs from, but it lasts a long time. Now, again, we were talking about earlier. If you buy custom wigs, if you do not shampoo your hair properly, okay, if you think you can go 6 months without washing your hair, you're going to destroy your unit, and you're going to be not, you're not going to be able to get the full effect. You're going to have to replace your frontals, and you possibly, by you spending so much money on these hair units, you're going to have to then start to add different little fill-ins with this hair. It's different ways. Some people, they actually repair their lace. So that's pretty much about some of the different type of hairs. And again, with the cuticle hair, it can generally last longer, and it also is able to raise to a higher color. So this is like, this is like some of the top hair. That's why I love purchasing raw hair, especially for those who are getting medical wigs and for those who have alopecia, because it lasts longer. You're going to get more wear and tear off from your purchase. So, just these are just some things and some different little tips you might want to consider when you're buying this hair. Also, again, we already stated, when you're using some of these hairs, make sure that you are not using a lot of oils. These hair we can't be going back to the old day and using that pressing grease on this hair. Okay, you're not going to be able to do it like that. And even if so, that's maybe something that your stylist would do within good reason. And even with that, you should not be reapplying it daily. So these are just different little tidbits with that. And another thing the weed doctor is learning, the hair market is just very, very oversaturated. So just because something says that it is high quality, there are a lot of different types of quality. And that's why it is important to go to a good vendor or go to someone who is used to purchasing hair, who has a lot of different experience, because there are so many different names, as we learned today, between the virgin, the raw processed hair, and the raw hair, the cuticle hair. There are so many different names out there. And one thing about the cuticle hair, nothing has been done to the cuticle. And there are different little tactics out there that some people have discovered to figure out how to avoid from getting scammed. But most cosmetologists know about that, or people, who've been purchasing hair for a very long time. But even, a lot of these different companies, they all have their little secrets. They're trying to make money just like everybody else. And so sometimes they are mixing the hairs, or they're saying that it's one donor when they're using more than one donor. But that's why, you just got to find the right person. So these are just some of the different types of hair. And with the cuticle hair and the cuticle wigs, they do cost more money, especially the ones that the cuticles are completely aligned. They're coming from one donor. A lot of those wigs, they are top-notch units. They're going to cost you $2,000 to $3,000 or more, because they are vetting this hair from one donor, or very close to that amount. As we stated, it's kind of like I was watching something online the other day. They were talking about the secrets with fast food. They were saying that back in the day, they only had maybe 1 to 2 or 3 cows being mixed with, your hamburger that you eat. And nowadays, you could have, they said, up to thousands of different cows and bacteria in one burger that you purchase from McDonald's. Okay, doesn't that sound nasty? I know. But, and the same thing is going for these hair pieces. Hello, for the virgin hair. It's like you have hundreds and hundreds, maybe you could even maybe have thousands of different hairs that are being combined together. Okay, child, it's just one big old cesspool. It just gives you some thought, just something to take into consideration when you're buying these different hairs. Yes, sometimes it is going to be more expensive. You are not going to get cuticle aligned full lace wigs where cuticles are aligned, where the hair has not been processed, when it's coming probably between 1 to 3 donors, or the least amount of donors under $1,500. These wigs that are the donor hair, but it doesn't have a lot of different suitors or different people combined hair, it's expensive. They're paying $1,500 plus on the low end, but their units are lasting a very, very, very long time. And these are just some of the different tricks. Now, sometimes with the cuticle hair, you can kind of go down and you can kind of feel. Now this is a silky hair, the Indian hair, so sometimes this one you might not be able to feel the cuticles as if it was if you were purchasing maybe from another provider that that had more coarse hair like a Cambodian or some of the other different type of brands that are out there. So these are just some of the different things. Another thing, a lot of companies, a lot of times they are not giving you full length. They're lying about the length. So it's just a lot going on. That's why it's best to go to a provider for all this. It's just too much. You have to get a full-time degree and purchase it hair online, okay? But this hair, our client that's going to be wearing this hair, she is going to be happy. I know I was happy about it. I was so happy seeing this hair, and this is some of the raw virgin Indian hair. Okay, there are a lot of different names out there being used and advertised on some of these different companies, and it is not what they're advertising. They're doing false advertisement. So we hope that was very informative. We're going to be coming back next week talking more about hair loss and just inform you guys about ordering wigs. We hope that was some very informative information. So you're seeing that the bundles can go, honey, anywhere from $40 per bundle all the way up to $12 or $15 or even $1,900 per bundle. This could be Beyonce, maybe honey, maybe $5,000 a bundle. Okay. So we hope that was a good discussion for you guys. And we hope that you have a happy President's Day. All right, you guys, be safe out there.